Hi everyone. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a REST API, Dockerize it and deploy it in Azure Kubernetes Services using YAML file. So we're going to take a declarative approach. So to start over, we need to create a project folder structure so that makes others to understand easily. And you can just follow the instruction what I'm going to give you now. So the first thing is I need to create a project root folder. You can just name it as you wish. In my case, I've named it as collaborations.cloud, and underneath this, I don't have any files or folders. What I need to do is I need to open this project root folder in Visual Studio Code, and let's go ahead and create the required folders and files underneath it. Let me close all these files. Let me see. Yeah, now I'm good. So now I need to create the first folder, database. I'll tell you why I need this folder. And next comes is the manifest. And I need to create a file called employee rest API.ps1. Yes, I'm going to create a REST API using PowerShell. For this, I've used a module called Pode module, which is an open source and cross-platform module. I'll give the link in the description. You can make use of it. So what do you see now is an empty file, right? Employee-rest-api.ps1. And I need to have another file called Docker file so that I can Dockerize the application. So for this, I just go ahead and take Docker file. That's it. All good. So the content for this file is already available in my documentation. I'll just quickly copy paste it. Before that, I'll create another file underneath the database called employee.json. And I need to have two YAML file to create a deployment and then to create a service. So I create a file called create-deployment.yaml and create another file. Create, instead of deployment, I just name it as service. Oh, I made a mistake, a typo. Good. So let me close all the open editors so that it won't confuse us. So what do I see? A database folder, an employee JSON underneath it, manifest folder and two different YAML files underneath it, a Docker file in the project root folder and a PS1 file. You can just name it as you wish, as I said. Right. So now I just go ahead and copy paste the content in employee.json. I have the documentation ready here. So just copy the data here, close the file and just open up Docker file. Okay, let me copy the PS1 file. Content for PS1 file. This is the code which will go ahead and host the server and allow me to access the REST API so that I can work with the employee.json file. Fantastic. So now that I want to Dockerize the application, just copy this Docker file content, paste it over here. I'll walk you through the code in short. First thing, I need to check whether the application is running fine in local machine. So this is my local machine in which I've got all the modules and tools installed. Now I need to just start the server. For that, I just execute the PS1 file, employee-rest-api.ps1. Takes fraction of second and then I get an application and it's listening to the port 3000 in localhost. Open up your favorite browser and try to access it. Localhost 3000. What I see now? I get a response at least, right? So, but I don't get the desired result because I have got a different routing, I think, if I'm not wrong. Let me see. Yes, if you see, I've got the endpoint in the route path employee, right? So that's the path. So I need to navigate over here as /employee. What I see here is the JSON content, which is available here in my employee.json file. Good. So we are good to host this REST API. So let me terminate this server so that it won't execute it. Now that I need to make sure I can build, tag and push to the Docker Hub. I already have a different version of image in my Docker Hub in my repository, something with the name ps-web app. Now I need to give a different name and a different tag version. So let me see if I have any repositories underneath it. Okay, I don't have one. Let me do that. So for that, what I need to do is I need to go ahead and run this piece of code, docker build -t, and I'm just giving this as employee REST API version 1 with the tag. This takes a couple of minutes. Let it run. This is building the image, tagging, and then after the successful completion of the build and tag, I'm going to push this to the Docker Hub. So I get the new image with the name employee-rest-api, right? With the version 1.0.0. And while this is creating, what I need to do is I need to make sure I'm getting the right definition for my deployment and service. So the build is completed. Let me push it. I don't need to wait for that. Employee-rest-api, yes. So I'm going to push this and expect this to be available on the Docker Hub as a public repository so anybody can access it. Let me close this Docker file, get on my create-deployment.yaml file. I'm not going to write the YAML definition by hand. Instead of that, I'm going to utilize the IntelliSense. I have installed the Kubernetes extension in my Visual Studio Code. So what I see here is a Kubernetes extension, right? And this has a dependencies extension called YAML. So if I uninstall this, this says it is dependent to this. But don't need to worry about it. Just install the Kubernetes extensions and you're good to go. So now that I close this and write my deployment definition. Since I said deployment, I'm going to type in the word deployment and I get an IntelliSense says, hey, are you going to do the Kubernetes deployment? I say yes by pushing enter. What I see here is the YAML definition. I don't need to write everything by my hand, right? So what it says is like you have to give the image information and the port information. Remaining you can modify it, but for now I'll just leave it as it is. I have to put the container port as 80 and I'm sure this indentation is not correct. So let me put one tab over here. So it's indented correctly. So I'm listening to the port 80. The container port is 80. And what is my image name? I need to wait till this push is completed. So ideally my image name is going to be this. So I just copy paste it. Excellent. So this is my deployment. Correct? Deployment definition. I have not deployed it yet. I'm done with my definition. Similarly, I need to do it for the service, right? So I just go ahead and do type service. That prompts, are you planning to do the Kubernetes service? Push enter and confirm it. Underneath the spec, I just go ahead and say the type of my service is going to be a load balancer. What's the port for me? It's going to be the 80, port 80, and the target port is 3000. That's my application is going to listen. And over here, I see the indentation is incorrect. So I'll just name this now to HTTP. And no, I don't want like this. It should be indented. I'm good. So now I have got my service definition ready. Go to the Docker Hub and confirm that you have got your new image files. Fantastic. I've got it with the tag v1.0.0. Hopefully this should work as expected. Let me copy this and cross check it whether I've used the right image in my deployment YAML. Okay, all good. So now that we need to go ahead and do the deployment using kubectl command. Kubectl apply -f. It's in my manifest folder, and the first thing is create deployment. Correct. So just run this. This in turn is going to create a pod, right? So let me see. Kubectl get pod. Fantastic. It's healthy. It's running. If in case I made any issues in my image, the input I've given it to the image, I can see some issues in my status. But if I do any mistakes in my port or indentation, you don't get any error. So you need to be very careful on it. All right. So now I need to go ahead and deploy the service. That means I'm going to expose the deployment through my load balancer service, right? So kubectl apply -f manifest create service.yaml. This is going to take care of exposing the deployment to the load balancer service and allow me to access it through the public IP from anywhere I want. I've got the service up and running now. Let's check that. Kubectl get SVC. I've got a public IP. That's good. Let me copy this. Open up the browser, push enter. I got a response, so I'm very confident this is working as expected. And then I type in the root employee, that's my endpoint. Excellent, I've got the information from here. So that's coming from the image REST API. How do I go ahead and check other routes? So I can just do employee \1. So I get the value for the employee whose ID is 1. That's the response I get. I can use this REST API endpoint in my PowerShell using invoke-rest method commandlet or invoke-web request. So that's how exactly I go and create a REST API and deploy it in Azure Kubernetes cluster. Thanks a lot for watching my video. In my next video, I'm going to show you how to do the replicas for the same. Thank you.